3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Thursday installment of We Talk. I'm Yolanda Nell. Before we head into the interview and the news, today's riddle. What starts with an E and only has one letter in it? The answer at the end of the show. Today we head over to Save the Rhino Trust and talk to Andrew Malherbe. Stay tuned for that. And now news from the Windhoek Express website. The waterhole at NWR's Okkokuyo Resort in the Etosha National Park now boasts a webcam that broadcasts live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The camera was installed at Okkokuyo since it attracts the most animals, and now viewers worldwide can experience the bounty of nature and wildlife from the comfort of their homes. Described as virtual tourism, this innovation offers viewers the experience of an activity, location or destination through video technology that a user cannot experience with photos or on a website. Viewers can easily access the content via NWR social media platform on YouTube for free. The benefit of virtual tourism is that viewers can see and experience a destination without physically traveling there. Another benefit is that virtual tourism makes destinations accessible to millions of people who would not otherwise be able to afford to travel to those destinations. Other waterholes in the park will soon be equipped with the cameras as well. It is almost impossible to imagine a world without social media, but it did once exist. In this data-driven age, interactive technologies such as social media are digital channels that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, interests, and various expressions through virtual communities and networks. Friendly interactions on these platforms release dopamine in our brain's reward centers, triggering us to repeat the behavior. That being said, social media has provided the opportunity for unlimited interactions. The famous saying goes, too much of anything is bad for you. While many studies suggest that the most individuals cannot maintain a healthy balance being online versus enjoying life beyond the confinement of electronics, one is inclined to believe that our priorities have shifted. Gone are the days when a normal conversation took place without the interruption of a cell phone with constant notifications that need our attention. It's important to consider some tips when using social media, including to be alert and report suspicious activities, be sober of mind when engaging on social media, and always validate information before sharing it any further. And then finally, in some sporting news, 113 archers from 14 different schools and clubs converged at the St. George's Field last Saturday, where a chilly morning set the scene for the first 2 bullseye rounds before warming up to the 3D animal rounds that were shot after lunch. The bullseye round consisted of a practice round at 5 meters and then 3 scoring rounds, followed by a practice round at 15 meters and 3 scoring rounds, giving a total of 300. Archers shot 3 rounds each. The St. George's Tuck Shop made sure that no one went hungry or thirsty. The organizers also say a special thank you to the parents who got up very early and traveled vast distances to have the archers at the venue by 7 a.m. and then spent the entire day in the sun encouraging and supporting.
Yolanda, Save the Rhino Trust was formed in the early 80s, so 1982, and it was formed in order to address the rampant poaching of black rhino in northwest Namibia, so Western Kunene. Save the Rhino Trust adopted a bit of a different approach to rhino conservation in that there has always been a really solid emphasis on community engagement and community involvement in the fight against rhino poaching. And that's as opposed to the ordinary sort of guns and helicopter and law enforcement type of approach. So that's what the trust is really all about. It's about involving local communities in rhino monitoring and rhino protection. Our core sort of mandate, we have a memorandum of understanding with the Namibian government, so the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. Our mandate is to collect data on the rhinos in Western Kunene. So what we do is we operate in an unfenced area, so it's communal land. It's the largest population of black rhino to exist outside a formally protected area, so outside like a national park. On the whole planet. So these are really, really very special rhinos, desert adapted as well. They move in amongst the communities, they move freely, there's no fences. And so what we do at Save the Rhino Trust is we deploy teams at different sort of locations throughout the landscape. And these guys spend 20 to 25, sometimes 30 days monitoring rhino on foot from those camps. So, you know, they're out in the bush collecting data, taking photos, taking GPS readings, and basically just making sure that the rhinos are safe. They're also accompanied by NAMPOL officers. So there's one Namibian police officer with every one of our teams that we deploy for safety purposes.
Great. What type of research are you conducting?
Yeah, so we produce an annual population assessment each year. That's released around end of February, beginning of March. That's sent to the ministry. And so because black rhinos are specially protected species, the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism retains management rights over those animals. In other words, you know, decisions around translocation or rangeland expansion, that type of stuff, all remains the remit of the ministry. So our population assessment, in other words, all of the data that we gather throughout the year, that all goes to the ministry and enables them to make informed science-based management decisions on the population.
Can you quickly tell us what is the threat in terms of rhino poaching at the moment? Is it still increasing? Is there a decline in Namibia?
Yeah, so I think overall the threat remains. I think this is evidenced by you know, the arrest of quite sophisticated poaching syndicates, and these are, you know, international criminals that are linked also to transboundary crime, to things like human trafficking and drug trafficking. And so, you know, poaching isn't just poaching. Quite often, you know, these poachers are linked to these wider international criminal syndicates. So those are still there in Namibia. We, thankfully, in the area that we operate in, we haven't had a poaching incident reported in the last 18 months. So in that sense, we've been quite successful. But I know that some of the private farms and also some of the national parks are still being infiltrated by poachers. So the threat is for sure still there.
But it's fantastic that you can say that you went 18 months without an incident.
Yeah, we are extremely proud of that, and I think especially, you know, given the fact that it's an open access area, so it's outside of a national park, and I think that it just speaks to the work that Save the Rhino Trust and our partners are doing with communities. Not only our work, but also what the Namibian government has done in terms of the rhino custodianship program. So they've basically started to take rhinos out of national parks and put them into communal areas so that communities can benefit through tourism and that type of thing. So it's a real innovative program.
And it's great to see that if government takes hand with communities and with funds and trusts and the private sector, that things can change.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real innovative approach to conservation in Africa, and I think that Namibia for sure is at the forefront of this approach. I mean, nowhere else in the world do you have black rhino roaming on unfenced area in communal area.
Exactly.
It's just kind of unheard of. We were at a conference, the CEO and myself, last week in Kenya, and we were telling people our story, and they were like, "Oh, wow, is this really true? Is this something that's happening?" And these are people from places like Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda. So nowhere else in Africa is this story actually playing out, and I think it's a fantastic story and something that we can all be proud of.
For today's recommendation, I am looking at a Namibian-made product, Bee Hotels, and I simply love this idea. Let's see how it works. So a bee hotel is a man-made nesting place for solitary bees. One solitary bee does the pollination work for approximately 100 honeybees, so it's very important to protect their habitat. Solitary bees are not simply bees who have left the hive and are now alone. There are over 200 species of solitary bees, and as the name suggests, they live alone, although in truth they often nest together to one another. They do not produce honey, do not have a queen, and they do not live in hives. As pollinators, the solitary bee carry out a vital role in pollinating our crops and also flowers and trees. In some parts of China, pollination is already being undertaken by hand using paintbrushes because there are no bees left to do it naturally. Another important reason to keep them safe. Because solitary bees do not have to store honey to protect, they are non-aggressive, meaning they are safe around pets and children. Generally speaking, solitary bees emerge from their nest in the spring. Males emerge first, and after feeding they hang around the nest waiting for the females. Once mating is complete, the male dives fairly quickly, and after mating the females will begin the process of nesting, selecting a suitable site, constructing the nest, and laying anything between 1 and 20 eggs. Their habitat is under increasing threat. As we build more and more properties and landscapes, our gardens, we unwittingly destroy habitat and nests as we do so. So, a bee hotel from Bee-tique, Namibia, is the perfect solution, and it gives them a safe haven to nest and produce the next generation of pollinators. So head down to her Instagram page. Her work is fantastic, as you can see.
Choose your Flex package with Paratus today. Sign up for ultra-fast fiber with the convenience of mobile LTE. That's 2 products in one bundle. It's new, it's one bill, and you can stay connected in more than one location.
For more information, visit paratus.africa/NA.
Always prepared. Paratus.
For today's life hack, if you are struggling to remember a word, simply ball up your fist, and this increases brain activity. You're welcome. Next up, Jeanette Diergaard for your Flex Minute.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of my show for today. Please join me again tomorrow as we head over to Rubabis and go visit a campsite. Before I say goodbye, that riddle just one more time. What starts with an E and only contains one letter? An envelope. We'll be back tomorrow.